Definitely celebrate that. So let us pray. Gracious God, you have led us here this morning for me to speak these words and for all of us to hear them. As you are the ruler of our minds and hearts, help us to hear your word and let it move us as you will. Amen. Our first reading this morning is from Ephesians chapter 2, verses 8 to 10. For by grace you have been saved through faith. And this is not your own doing. It is the gift of God, not the result of works, so that no one may boast. For we are what he has made us, created in Christ Jesus for good work, which God prepared beforehand to be our way of life. In Psalm 73, when my soul was embittered, when I was pricked in the heart, I was stupid and ignorant. I was like a brute beast toward you. Nevertheless, I am continually with you. You hold my right hand. You guide me with your counsel, and afterward you will receive me with honor. Whom have I in heaven but you? And there is nothing on earth that I desire other than you. My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. This is the word of our Lord.
Thanks be to God.
So I was sitting in a small church as part of the choir and a bit out of place. As a high school junior living in Germany for a year, I was there with my host mother and trying to understand the sermon. Not completely fluent yet, and still not. Quite a bit went over my head. I was still feeling out of place, literally as a foreigner in a strange land. Then as the pastor blessed the bread and the wine, and we all took part in communion, I felt a deep connection with those who love Christ throughout all time and place. This simple ritual is personal, is communal, and eternal. Now that moment continues to have a major impact on my faith. Now we all have our own faith stories. You may have had a conversion experience or may have grown your faith in stages like I have. And now I've preached here a number of times this fall, and my husband keeps bugging me to share my faith story with you, so I'm giving in to him so he'll stop bugging me. Now, as you know, I love stories. I learn from stories. We learn from stories. Our entire faith in God is built on the stories of our faith ancestors passed down in the scriptures. So maybe my story will help you. I'm going to lay most of it out for you. If I laid it all out for you, you might fall asleep or it will take all day. So here's a short, Reader's Digest version. But maybe something here will open your heart to make sense to you. As when I hear other people's stories, it opens my heart and makes sense to me. I trust in God to use me and continue to use me for His will and His purpose. Just as I know He's using this church and using you. So in order to keep going and not get sidetracked, I've written it all down. But I may go a little off script here and there. So I've always been a Christian. I I was born and raised in a Presbyterian church. While I was raised not in a particularly religious family, faith in God was an unspoken requirement or way of life. We always attended church and always involved in one way or another. And my mom loves to tell the story about this incident when I was a toddler. And we were walking past the pastor's empty office, and I looked in and said that God wasn't here today. Yet it wasn't my family. It was God who brought the love of Him into my life. I wasn't going to church and Sunday school and making those little cool, this diorama, I just love that. I want to do that again. Of, the time of Jesus. Meeting dates for the first time, because that's what Jesus ate. It was God who brought the love of God into my heart. Now, around 5th grade, I remember looking out to my bedroom window and asking God that if He showed me the why and the how of all existence, that I would do whatever He asked. Well, at 10, I could not have known what I was getting myself into. God took me on my word. My faith journey has not been easy, but I am thankful that God gave me the mind to ask for that bargain. And when I was younger, I never expected or thought of going into professional ministry. I wasn't religious enough. I was a woman, and the female role models I had did not fit the life I wanted to live. I was sinful, with little hope of ever being perfect. I wasn't smart enough. I hated public speaking. I have a horrible time memorizing scripture. And to tell you the truth, none of those reasons have really changed much. But my relationship with God has. And God working in me has made all the difference. It hasn't been an easy road. I've been pushed out of a church at the age of 15 for being competition for the pastor's 14-year-old daughter. I've been lousy at jobs trying to fit into places I wasn't meant for. It took essentially failing a seminary class to realize that I wasn't able to handle evacuating from Katrina as well as I thought I could. And after commuting to Chicago for seminary and spending the majority of 3 years apart from my husband, we are still paying off my school loan and will be for many years to come. Oh, by the way, thank you for the pulpit supply checks. It's helpful. And I could go on and on. But you get the idea. Life is never easy, and I don't expect it to be. Now, while my life is definitely easier than most, I've always had a car, I've always had a house, had food on the table. There have been many, many days when I've asked God for a break, for a vacation, but I haven't gotten one. But God has used all these opportunities to guide me and deepen my faith. While I didn't like being diagnosed with depression as part of the psychological profiling for the ordination process, it has been a gift from God to go through therapy and self-discovery as I've been able to bring an end to a miserable family inheritance. Moving from place to place and job to job has been discouraging, yet it has exposed me to do so much of God's creation that I will forever be thankful. and not knowing if I will ever be ordained, let alone what God plans for me at any time in the future, can at times be terrifying. But I have learned to rely on God and know what God will always have plans for me as long as I remain faithful. While I've never had a conversion experience that turned me from disbelief to belief, my journey has been a series of steps. So about 4 years ago, my life suddenly clicked, and I found this peace in God. God brought me through a huge wilderness into the safety and security of the promised land. Now, I'm not saying that everything has been perfect since then. I've still wrestled with God and with God's people, and have the scars to show it. I have felt abandoned, if not maybe just overlooked for some more important causes, only to realize God was just biding time until I was ready, or until all the other pieces were in place. But that sense of safety and security in God's love underlies it all, as if it is the air I breathe. See, I've been involved in 20 different churches throughout my life. My participation ran the spectrum from frequent visitor with family connections to very active member, supply preacher, staff, deacon, elder. If you're trying to figure out the math, that's just about one church for every 2 years of my life. I moved a lot and been active at a few churches at the same time. I've moved a lot. One was Presbyterian Methodist. One was Presbyterian Baptist. A little strange. And 4 others were Catholic or Lutheran. Somehow they all have something to do with each other. A lot of Catholics and Lutherans become Presbyterian. So I've been around. The churches have been a variety of contexts and demographics. They have been stable, in trouble, going through change or growing. Mostly by chance, these churches have been predominantly theologically centered or progressive. And like the churches I've been involved in, I've also been all over the place working in nonprofits, corporate, government, yes, for the government, small businesses, churches, and for myself. I graduated from a college program where most of the professors saw religion simply as a myth or a tool for manipulation, and then went to McCormick Seminary in Chicago, where I found out I was not quite as progressive as I thought. Then I was the only female chaplain intern surrounded by a bunch of Catholic priests, and then spent a year with your former pastor as a chaplain resident, learning about a wide variety of pastoral approaches, including spiritual healing from 2 Lutherans. This was all followed by a stint as a youth director, trying to revamp a program without any real support. Then I somehow ended up being the minister of senior adult visitation at a very diverse historical church whose evangelical language was extremely foreign to me, but at the same time it was a blessing for my children. It was a blessing for me to minister who I was ministering with. But then in the end, because of interpretation and our understanding of the Holy Spirit, parted ways. Then the twists and turns of God's path, and my prayers to bring the knowledge I gained from these amazing people down to younger people who maybe could learn from their what they learned from. sent me to launch ministry. Where Christ equips the ready, myself included. And all along, underneath all of this, is my whole family drama and my ordination journey, which sometimes is easy and then takes crazy turns. And just as it seems to be falling in place, I hear God's voice telling me to put my family first, and then someone puts my ordination entirely into question, and then I find myself having a conversation with someone else who thinks, no, God is calling you. And that is about where I find myself in Christ Church. All over the place. Not quite on one side or the other. My path has never been straight. I often can never see over the next hill or around the next turn. But somehow it works for me. I do not understand God's full plan for me. I do not hope to understand all that God has done or will do in my life. So why these texts today? For by grace you have been saved through faith. And this is not your own doing. It is the gift of God, not the result of works, so that no one may boast. For we are what he has made us, created in Christ Jesus for good work, which God prepared beforehand to be our way of life. My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. These texts are straightforward and honest. Our life and our faith comes from God, not because we deserve it, or understand it, or control it, but because we were created for good. We were created to be with God, and God is with us on this journey. We can be stupid and ignorant. We can take the wrong path. If God is with us, and it is in us and through us that God will work. We just need to be open and honest with Him and with ourselves, even with each other, so God can use us and guide us to fulfill God's will. Now, I am in complete awe, because I can tell you in 5th grade, there's no way I would have ever imagined my life to be the way it has been. But I'm so happy it has been. With all the ups and downs. At this moment, I would ask to be nowhere else but than right here with you this morning. Because my whole life, from those teenage fights with my parents to hiking up Mount Sinai, has been a journey. A God-blessed, God-directed, and God-accompanied journey that has brought me to a place of unimagined spiritual beauty. I'll say again that God is not finished with me yet. Thank God. I feel God is always working in my life towards something better. Even more amazing. And I stand before you as I am, an undeserving, a sinful, a frail, a limited human being who cannot help but stand in awe before her everlasting King. And in that too, all I can hope is that you feel the same way. I hope that you too can even feel part of the same way. To know that God has been with you your whole life. That God has been working with you and in you and through you in ways that you will never know, that you can never imagine. And that God has not finished with you yet. There's no such thing as retirement when it comes to God. Sorry. No vacations, no retirement, no time off. Until our last breath. Maybe even beyond that. God loves you and is working in you and through you. Just how much are you going to open your life to God to do that?